It's in there.
Okay.
There he is.
The boss has just showed up. Come on, John.
Good job.
Staff, do we have any announcements?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, we have a couple of announcements. First of all, we do have a withdrawal. Item 43, which is a water bond for the South Creek Rural Retreat, and that'll be back among us next month. Speaking of next month, we will be having a training session after the meeting. That meeting will be on September 14th. We've invited the Board of Zoning Appeals to attend as well, and I believe that we're going to be focusing on property rights. Is that correct, Mike? Correct. I guess the minor good news is after we complete the meal, we will arrange to feed you, so it won't be an entirely long evening in that regard. So we will be serving dinner that night. And finally, Mike has an announcement about the comprehensive traffic study.
Yeah, just real quickly, a lot of you participated in the meetings on July 11 where the consultant team presented their evaluation and also their preliminary recommendations in terms of strategies. Based on the feedback that they've received, and I think you all have received some information recently, and there's still a little bit of time to provide some feedback, but based on that feedback, they're refining that analysis and preparing a set of recommendations that are a bit more finalized, and those will be presented at a meeting on September 6th at 5:30. That'll be a meeting where, like we've done in the past, Planning Commission and County Commission members are present. We also plan to have a public meeting component to that meeting as well, where there will be time allocated for the public to provide comments regarding that. So again, it's September 6th at 5:30 in this room.
Okay, thank you. Any other announcements?
No, sir. Thank you.
All right, now we'd like to have the consideration for the minutes of June 8th, 2017, rather. We have a move for approval and a second. All, please press your button, please. Okay, thank you. Consideration agenda. Do any of the commissioners want to pull anything off the consideration agenda? If not, we'll take it as a whole. Oh, I'm sorry, Pete.
Yes, I think it's item 15. I know we're just dealing with the maintenance on road drainage and road control on that subdivision, but I think before we go on, and something needs to be done to the turn lanes that they built into the subdivision, and I think we need to consider cleaning that up. I know they're talking about buying 300 or 400 more acres to keep adding on to the subdivision, and the people that drive through there, they shouldn't have to ride through that sort of a situation all the time.
Okay, well, we'll take all the ones now, and we'll hold out 15. Staff?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Let me organize myself a little better. Okay, there we go. At any rate, beginning with item 3, additions to Legends Ridge, Section 2A, Lot 924, maintenance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control, $25,000. Recommendation, release the bond. Item 4, Cartwright Close, performance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control, $375,000. Recommendation, convert to maintenance, the amount of $275,000 and extend for a period of 1 year. Item 5, Chardonnay, Section 3, maintenance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control, $130,000. Recommendation, staff has requested certain documentation from the developer that all elements pertaining to stormwater control has been completed properly. In addition, staff requests this bond be extended its current amount for $130,000 for a period of 1 year and be placed on the commission agenda during that time frame for possible release. Item 6, Chardonnay, Section 4, maintenance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control, Staff has requested certain documentation from the developer that all the elements pertaining to stormwater control has been properly completed. In addition, staff requests that the bond be extended in its current amount of $100,000 for a period of 1 year and placed on the commission agenda during that time frame for possible release. Item 7, Chardonnay Section 6, wastewater collection system. Maintenance bond for wastewater collection system, $19,560. Recommendation to release the bond. Item 8, Dunblane subdivision. Maintenance bond for sewer, $21,000. Recommendation to release the bond. Item 9, Dunblane subdivision. Maintenance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control, $175,000. Recommendation extended current amount for a period of 1 year. Item 10, Falls Grove Section 3, performance bond for water, $27,000. Recommendation, release the bond upon its expiration date of August 12, 2017. Item 11, Falls Grove Section 3, performance bond for wastewater collection system, $59,800. Recommendation, convert to maintenance in the amount of $17,940 for a period of 2 years. Item 12, Falls Grove Section 3, performance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control, $375,000. Recommendation, convert to maintenance in the amount of $250,000 for a period of 1 year. Item 13, Farms at Clovercroft Section 1, maintenance bond for water, $6,187.50. Recommendation to release the bond. Item 14, Clovercroft Section 1, maintenance bond for wastewater collection system, $34,800. Recommendation, extended current amount for a period of 1 year. Item 16, Kings Chapel Section 4A, maintenance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control, $110,000. Recommendation, extended current amount for a period of 1 year. Item 17, New Approach School of Jewelry and Arts, performance bond for landscaping, $20,600. Recommendation, extended current amount for a period of 6 months. Item 18, Silverstream Farm, Section 4F, maintenance bond for water, $4,500. Recommendation, release the bond. Item 19, Silverstream Farms, Section 4G, performance bond for landscaping, $65,890. Recommendation, convert to maintenance in the amount of $19,800 and extend for a period of 1 year. Item 20, Silverstream Farms, Section 4G, performance bond for water, $90,000. Recommendation, convert to maintenance in the amount of $13,500 and extend for a period of 1 year. Item 21, Silverstream Farms, Section 4G, performance bond for sewer, $121,000. Recommendation, defer to the September 2017 meeting. Item 22, Silverstream Farms, Section 4G, performance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control, $175,000. Recommendation, convert to maintenance in the amount of $50,000 and extend for a period of 1 year. Item 23, Temple Hill, Section 16, Phase C, maintenance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control, $190,000. Recommendation, extended current amount for a period of 1 year. Item 24, The Grove, Section 2, maintenance bond for wastewater collection, $136,200. Recommendation, extended current amount for a period of 1 year. Item 25, The Grove, Section 2, maintenance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control, $195,000. Recommendation, release the bond. Item 26, The Grove, Section 4, maintenance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control, $150,000. Recommendation, release the bond. And item 27, Weatherford Estate, maintenance bond for landscaping, $29,850. Recommendation, release the bond.
Staff, item 19, you said extend for 1 year, and it should be 6 months, I believe.
Right, per usual. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions on the agenda? Motion? Had a motion first and a second. Record your vote, please. Motion passes. Thank you. Now we'll go into the public hearing portion.
Item 15.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot Pete. Sorry, Pete. Item 15.
I get ignored a lot.
I understand.
William will read the report.
Report into the record, Mr. Chairman, if I might.
Yes, sir.
Farms at Clovercroft, Section 1, maintenance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control. Staff has visited the site and noted that some improvements have been made. Staff recommends that this bond be extended in the current amount for a period of 1 year. The build-out for this section is at 86%. Commissioner Mosley, be happy to try and answer your questions and see if we can come to some resolution on it for you.
My question with is particularly at this subdivision, because I passed it 2 or 3 times a day. The turn lanes have been built and have already eroded before. As you say, he's on one section, he's at 86%, some other sections not that far along. And they're already talking about buying other property adjoining to extend it more. Turn lanes on a lot of these rural roads now are nothing but passing lanes, and they deteriorate before the subdivision gets finished. And it's a bad thing for everybody in the neighborhood to be passing through them all the time. I think we need some means or some mechanism to make sure they're built up to some sort of county standards when they're put in.
Okay. And staff doesn't have a problem with that. I think the best thing for me to say to you is that I would need to meet with the county highway superintendent, consider the fact that that is existing county right-of-way, and get his opinion on it. And we can go from there, and we can ask the developer to put the surface down, providing that the highway superintendent has no problem with that. The very last section of that subdivision is on the agenda tonight for review and approval, Section 3. So you know, at this point, they've got the one entrance in, and then it circles around, and there are no connections, you know, that we know of at this point planned. But I will meet with the highway superintendent and see if we can come to some conclusion on that for you.
Well, I would appreciate it. I'm not an engineer, but I know in days past there was settling periods before surface was put on gravel bases. Now we've got where we're putting surface material on the next day after we put the gravel base down, and
right, and
we don't have the settling and the stuff of this nature. And I'd like you engineers to get together and see if we couldn't work out something.
We'll look into it and see if we can get a resolution for you. We have some other turn lanes that are the same as what you're speaking of.
Thank you. I'll make a motion we, whatever we need to do to extend that as recommended by the staff.
Well, this report is actually for the extension of the maintenance bond. I don't know if there's something that could be should be added or could be added to that or not. Not this particular report. In other words, your vote for this bond would be just for this bond only.
Correct.
We can handle that at the staff level if.
Yeah, I'd say we need to go on and extend the bond as y'all recommend, but I want staff, the engineers, to get with engineers of the county roads and the development. And there's several of these turn lanes around the county that's causing troubles.
We'll do that.
Thank you.
Okay. We have a second on that motion?
Second.
Prepare to vote. Vote now. Motion carries. We'll go into the public hearing section right now. In our public hearing, the staff will make a report, and it will then be opened up to the public, to the ones who have signed up, and they will have 3 minutes to come to the podium, give us their name and address for the record, and be able to tell us what they want. The first one we have.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
If I might, for the record, I would just like to say that in order to avoid any appearance of a conflict of interest, I'm recusing myself from this agenda item tonight.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? All right, our first item will be item number 28, amendment to the Williamson County zoning ordinance regarding vacation rental homes. Staff?
Thank you. In November of 2012, the term vacation rental homes was added as a specific use type in the zoning ordinance under the visitor accommodations use category in the table of allowed uses, which already included hotels and bed and breakfast establishments. The addition of the vacation rental home use type resulted from citizen feedback as staff was working with the Leapers Fork community to finalize the Leapers Fork Village development standards. Adding this use as a permitted use in the Leapers Fork Village District had the perhaps unintentional effect of prohibiting this use elsewhere in the county. Since that time, short-term rentals through companies such as Airbnb and VRBO have become commonplace in many communities, including the unincorporated areas of Williamson County. Today, there are many such short-term rental units in the unincorporated county, most of which are located outside of the Leapers Fork Village District, and most of which have not been approved by the county. Enforcement of these unapproved uses presents extreme challenges from a staffing and resources standpoint. Staff has been wrestling with the question of how best, if at all, to regulate these uses in the county for some time, but was also cognizant of the fact that there have been various bills related to local government regulation of this industry that have been considered by the Tennessee General Assembly. However, while this issue is still under consideration by the legislature, none of these bills have been adopted during recent legislative sessions. After researching this issue, staff is of the opinion that the county should either regulate these uses across the board, which would create the need for significant staff resources related to permitting and enforcement, or not regulate these uses at all. After discussing various options and weighing the pros and cons, staff is recommending that vacation rental homes be removed as a use type in the zoning ordinance. This would have the effect of treating this use the same way it was treated prior to 2012, and would no longer make a distinction in the rental or lease of residential property based upon the length of the rental period. It is important to note that short-term rentals are subject to paying hotel-motel taxes, and that choosing not to regulate these uses from a land use standpoint does not impact this tax obligation. Staff recommends approval of these amendments. Staff also recommends that the attached resolution be forwarded to the County Commission for adoption.
Thank you. We have no one that signed up to speak at this one, so at this time, the commission, anyone in the commission have any comments they'd like to make on this? Pete?
I'd like to ask a question. On your chart of allowable uses, you leave it blank for vacation rental homes, which means they're not allowed in the county.
In the current table, there's a line for vacation rental homes. It's blank except for in the Leapers Fork Village zoning district. So what that means is that if you're not in that district, then it's not permitted. If you are, then it's permitted subject to special use requirements. The proposal, however, is that the use type for vacation rental homes be removed entirely from that table.
What do you mean? What will that do? Will that outlaw them completely, or?
No, sir. It would essentially result in reverting back to how those were treated in 2012, which was that they essentially weren't regulated, and there wasn't a distinction drawn between any rental of residential property, whether that was for a short-term or a long-term basis. So they just wouldn't be regulated from a land use standpoint, from a zoning ordinance standpoint.
Any other comments? Have a motion? I have a motion and a second. Please prepare to vote. Vote now. Motion carries. Thank you. Number 29, amendment to the Williamson County zoning ordinance and correction of various typographical errors and other minor errors. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. While administering the zoning ordinance, staff noted a number of typographical errors and other minor errors. These proposed amendments aim to clean up those errors are summarized on attachment 29-1 and are shown in red on attachment 29-2. Staff recommends approval of these amendments. Staff also recommends that the attached resolution be forwarded to the County Commission for adoption.
All right, no one has signed up to speak on this one. Does the commission, anyone have any comments on the commission?
Motion to approve staff recommendation. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Prepare to vote. Vote now. Motion carries. Item 30, amendment to the official zoning map regarding the following tax map parcels and zoning districts. To rezone from rural development to RD1 to rural development 5 RD5 tax map 110 parcel 4600, 46.02, 4603, 4605, 46.06, 47.03, 48.02, 48.03, 48.04, 48.06, 48.08, 48.09, 48.13, 48.15, 48.17, 50.03, 50.06, 51.03, 51.05, 53.00, and 53.01. The zoning from rural development RD1 to development RD5, tax map 112, parcel 3.00 and 6.01, and rezoning from rural development 1 RD1 to rural development 5 RD5, tax map 113, parcel 4.01 and 5.00 and 52.01. Staff?
Thank you. The applicants have requested a map amendment in order to rezone 26 properties in the Spantown Road area from their present zoning, which is Rural Development 1, to Rural Development 5. A signed petition making this request has been received from the owners of each of these parcels. The chief distinction between the existing zoning district and the proposed zoning district relates to the maximum density of residential development allowed, which is 1 unit per acre in the RD1 district and 1 unit per 5 acres in the RD5 district. Essentially, these property owners have requested a downzoning of their properties in that the requested zoning district is more restrictive than the existing zoning district. Section 4.05 of the zoning ordinance provides some guidance in such matters by outlining a number of factors that should be considered when evaluating a request for a map amendment. Staff believes that a number of these factors may be viewed as supporting this request. One of the key factors that should be considered is the extent to which a proposed map amendment is consistent with the county's comprehensive land use plan. While the existing zoning in the area is consistent with the comp plan, an argument can be made that the requested zoning is not inconsistent with the overall goals and policies of the plan. Based on this finding, coupled with the fact that the property owners are voluntarily requesting that a more restrictive zoning district be applied to these properties, staff recommends the requested map amendment for these 26 properties be approved and that the attached resolution be forwarded to the County Commission for adoption.
Thank you. Here again, we have 2 people that have signed up to speak tonight, and just to refresh what I said earlier, please come to the podium, give you your name and address for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes to make your point. We have Tommy Little.
Good afternoon. My name is Tommy Little, 2996 Spantown Road, Arrington, Tennessee. I am also the county commissioner for that district, and am coming as a resident involved with this and speaking for the residents. The planning department has been a great help with this and coming and putting this proposal together. It's similar to what was done in the old Hillsborough area, and I would just like to ask that you support the voluntary downzoning, because every one of these property owners are do desire, and it does not affect the others. And so to keep it brief, just that I do ask that you support their voluntarily downzoning their properties. Thank you.
Thank you. Beverly Little?
Beverly Little from 2996 Spantown Road, Arrington. I'm speaking on behalf of my family, the Cothrans, that have owned land since 1962, and we would appreciate the Planning Commission's consideration for this 1 to 5 based upon several things, road coverage and exit from our roads to the main highways, and that it maintain in the utmost benefit to the area. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have no one else signed up, so right now we'll close the public hearing and go to the commission. Anyone in the commission have any comments they'd like to make or questions? Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve staff's recommendations. Second.
Excuse me.
Just point out, Mike, did we point out the letters as well?
Thank you. I don't think so. Just there are a few pieces of correspondence in front of you regarding this item.
Okay.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
That's quite right. Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Please prepare to vote. Vote now. Motion carries. Thank you. Non-residential site plan, item 32. Robin, do you want to speak on this one?
No, that's number 32. Are we on 32?
32.
We're on 31.
Oh, I'm sorry, I jumped ahead of this. Okay. This is a concept plan review for Harding Springs containing 118 lots on 152 acres located off of Murfreesboro Road in the 5th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant is requesting concept plan approval for this 118-lot conservation subdivision in the Rural Development 1 zoning district. The review of a concept plan is the first stage in the development approval process. Because the concept plan contains more than 49 lots, a public hearing is required. The subject property totals approximately 152 acres and is located on Highway 96 East, just east of the Kings Chapel development. The property is relatively flat with rolling pastures, and portions of the site are covered by natural resources, including streams and woodlands. Approximately 10% of the site is covered in tree canopy. The proposed development consists of 118 lots, which range in size from approximately 20,000 square feet to approximately 40,000 square feet. The overall density is 0.79 dwelling units per acre. 52% of the site will be preserved in open space. Access to the proposed development will be provided by 2 entrances from Murfreesboro Road, which is classified as an arterial roadway by the Major Thoroughfare Plan. TDOT has granted conceptual approval for the turn lane improvements on Murfreesboro Road. The traffic shed analysis performed by the applicant indicates that the proposed number of lots is within acceptable limits based upon the capacity of the existing roadways. The applicant submitted a turn lane analysis which indicates an eastbound turn lane should be constructed on Murfreesboro Road at both entrances to the development. These turn lanes should include at least 100 feet of storage and should be designed according to AASHTO standards. In addition to the left-hand turn lanes recommended by the turn lane analysis, staff recommends the installation of right turn deceleration lanes at both entrances. Within the development, the applicant is requesting a right-of-way width of 40 feet in order to locate sidewalks outside of the right-of-way and a design speed of 25 miles per hour for internal roadways. Staff is in support of these requests. Water service will be provided by Nolensville College Grove Utility District. Wastewater will be handled via a non-traditional wastewater treatment and disposal system. A site plan to support this development was approved by this body at the May 2017 meeting. It should be noted that once detailed construction and engineering plans are prepared in conjunction with the submittal of a preliminary plat, Changes to the layout, including the potential for a reduction of lots, may be necessary. A landscaping plan will also be required. Staff recommends approval of this concept plan, along with the request for a 40-foot right-of-way width and a design speed of 25 miles per hour within the subdivision with the following conditions. Number one, the preliminary plat must address the following. Number one, submission of roads, drainage, and erosion control plans for review and approval by county engineer. Such would include turn lane improvements on Murfreesboro Road, which would include the left turn lanes at each of the site's entrances and the right turn deceleration lanes at each of the site's entrances as recommended by staff. Turn lane improvements on Murfreesboro Road must be approved by TDOT prior to the preliminary plat submittal. Submission of water plans for review and approval by Nolensville College Grove Utility District. And number three, submission of applicable construction plans for required wastewater disposal facilities to the TDEC, the county's consultant, and staff. Final plat must address the following. Number one, prior to final plat submittal for the first section of the proposed subdivision, a zoning certificate must be obtained for the completed treatment and disposal system. Prior to the issuance of the zoning certificate, the applicant shall provide the following. A letter from TDEC indicating that said system to serve this development was installed and is functioning. B, as-built drawings showing the location of all system components and a sealed certification letter from the design engineer indicating that said system to serve this development was constructed in accordance with the approved construction plans and specifications. C, a letter from the owner/utility provider indicating that it has accepted said system to serve this development and is currently operating same. And D, the posting of a performance bond in the amount of $63,580 for landscaping improvements. Number two, prior to the submittal of a final plat, turn lane improvements on Murfreesboro Road must be completed in accordance with the approved plans, which include the left turn lanes at each of the site entrances and the right turn deceleration lanes at each of the site's entrances as recommended by staff. Number three, prior to consideration of final plat approval, the applicant shall submit HOA documents for review and approval by the county attorney's office. The HOA documents must be submitted with the final plat, and the approved HOA documents must be concurrently recorded with the recording of the final plat. Number four, establishment of a performance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control. Number five, establishment of a performance bond for water improvements in favor of Nolensville College Grove Utility District. Number six, establishment of a performance bond for the wastewater collection system. Number seven, submission of landscaping plans and establishment of a performance bond for landscaping. Number eight, execution of a stormwater maintenance agreement and submission of an operation and maintenance plan for stormwater improvements. And number nine, submission of the approved final plat in DWG format on recordable media based on the Tennessee Plate Stain Coordinate System prior to signature and recording of the plat.
Thank you. This is a concept review plan, so I will reopen the public hearing because we have public hearings on all concept plans. We have one person signed up for it, H.H. Gardner. If you'll come to the podium, please, and give us your name and address for the record.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. My name is Herschel Gardner. I live at 5007 Murfreesboro Road, directly across from Hardeman Springs. I've got two issues that I'd like to bring to your attention. If you'll look at your concept map, you'll see there's two retention ponds directly across right in front of my house. To me, that's a potential health hazard, a mosquito pit that I'm going to have to be fighting with the mosquitoes, and probably more flooding too coming down out of there. That's one of the issues. The other issue is the turn lane. If you look at the far eastern turn lane, there's two entrances into Hardeman Springs. If my measurements are correct, when I come out of my driveway to turn left to come toward Franklin, I'm going to have to cross the eastbound traffic lane and also go through the turn lane. So I'm going to have two lanes that I'm going to have to cross before I can get into the westbound lane coming toward Franklin. As you know, most of y'all, I'm sure, have traveled 96, and it's hard enough to get out like it is without the additional traffic put on it. Another issue, as far as the turn lane, I would like to see this body enforce, demand, do whatever you want to call it, for the developer to develop the turn lane prior to building any houses. Down the road, 3/4 of a mile at King's Chapel, it took them 3 years. They had to shoulder the road tore up. I got to be going in and out over this. I would hope and pray that it don't take 3 years to put in a turn lane. I can do that with my tractor quicker than that, out there on that road without any problem. My brother's got a bulldozer, so I know we could build it. There's no doubt about that. But before they build any houses, I'd like to see them get their infrastructure in, get the turn lane completed. I realize that's a state road, and you got to go through the state to get all of their I's and T's crossed. But that is my issues with the Hardeman Springs thing. Thank you very much for your opportunity.
Thank you. We'll close the public hearing at this time, and we'll open it up for the commission. Any comments, questions? Pete?
I agree with Mr. Gardner's statement about turn lanes. They need to be put in at the first. If you got a tractor trailer truck trying to turn in to a construction site there, and he's got to swing out across 2 or 3 lanes to turn in, it's a very much a issue with safety, especially the speeds they travel on most of these roads right here. I think if it's not our policy, we should put in our policies that that's the first thing a subdivision put in is his turn lanes. I know they wait till they make a little money coming in before they want to put them in, but that's not good for the neighborhood.
Thank you, Pete. Robin?
I have a question about the turning lane too. I wasn't here in May, so I should have gone back and read through it more, but when is the turning lanes going to be implemented? Do you know, Aaron?
The turn, according to when the final plat comes in, before the applicant will be allowed to submit it, the turn lane improvements on Murfreesboro Road must be completed in accordance with the plans. So before the first final plat is submitted for the first section, they'll be completed.
So that kind of helps one of his questions, correct? And I think that's.
Thinking about what you want to ask, you could help us with any questions that come up, please.
What, sir?
The applicant for this, come forward. Okay, if you hold on just a minute, we'll see.
So I think Mr. Gardner was saying he's going to come out of his driveway and cross over the first lane going west, and then the turn lane, and then he'll get into the east lane.
Yes, ma'am.
So he has to cross over 3. And that is dangerous. I mean, I don't know what you can do about that. I mean, to his point, I have to cross over, same thing where I live, but I mean, there's nothing really to do. Or
I mean, we're required to put in a turn lane. I mean, it's you're going to cross the lanes. That's all we can do.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. You need turn lanes. Absolutely. Keep traffic from backing up. So, okay.
I mean, short of pulling it back, but you still got to cross the same amount of laneage either way. If we pulled it back a little bit.
Any other questions while the applicant is up here? Holly?
Yeah, so then the turn lane will be established before the first house is built?
Yes.
Correct, okay. And then I did have a question that, that Mr. Gardner brought up about the detention ponds. Do we have any kind of policy on the detention ponds? I mean, are there springs required? I mean, or is it a natural spring?
At the preliminary plat, and they'll have to meet our criteria at preliminary plat, there's not anything specific about mosquitoes. I mean, a lot of times the homeowners association will treat the ponds to keep down mosquitoes if they, have water for extended periods of time. You usually design them for what? It's going to drain in...
We design them to drain within the 24 to 48 hour time frame. Yes, ma'am.
Is that an old home place?
It's a house or a barn. Yeah, there's a couple of barns and houses on it. There's one house that's being kept, and the rest of them are being taken down.
Well, the ones to be removed, I mean, how old are they?
I have no clue.
Have they been researched?
That I couldn't tell you. I do not know.
Like, are they 1800?
Like I said, I do not know.
And the barns?
They're used as barns for supplies and hay and stuff like that.
They're going?
Yes.
Commissioner Givens, staff was presented with the question about one of the houses if it was on the register, and we did the research and we could not find evidence that it was on the National Register.
And the barns?
Same thing.
And there's no way to preserve them to make them fit into what you're trying to do?
We've got the one, the others, it just doesn't lay out with the road layouts and the lots.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Do we have a motion on this item? No one? Robin?
And then this is going to be literally just next door to King's Chapel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got the new subdivision across the street, not directly. This was where Mr. Gardner lives. Okay.
Any other questions? We'll try once more.
Motion to approve staff recommendation.
We have a motion, have a second on that?
Second.
Motion and a second. Prepare to vote. Please vote now. Motion carries. Thank you. Now we get to you, Robin.
Yep.
I'm sorry about the other.
I'm going to recuse myself from item number 32.
Okay, thank you.
I'll be back.
Item 32, non-residential site plan review for Daventry non-traditional, excuse me, wastewater treatment disposal, excuse me, system on 163 acres located off Tuscombe Road in the 4th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At the December 2015 meeting of this body, a site plan for a non-traditional wastewater treatment and disposal system was approved to serve the proposed Daventry development, which consists of 80 lots and encompasses approximately 132 acres of the site. The concept plan for Daventry was approved in August 2016, followed by the preliminary plat for the first phase of the development, which consisted of 34 lots in September of 2016. The applicant is now requesting approval of a revised site plan in order to enlarge the system by adding additional wastewater disposal area on an adjacent property. This expansion will enable the system to serve a proposed 19-lot subdivision on that adjacent parcel, in addition to the previously approved Daventry subdivision. A concept plan for the new subdivision will be submitted in the coming months. The county zoning ordinance requires a site plan for a proposed non-traditional wastewater treatment and disposal system, or in this case, an expansion thereof, to be approved before a concept plan for the use the system will serve may be approved. The subject properties total approximately 163 acres and are located on Tullis Road. The site adjoins Belchase Farm subdivision to the north and the recently approved Clovercroft Preserve subdivision to the east. Portions of the site are covered by natural resources including hilltops, areas of steep slopes, streams, and woodlands. Approximately 20% of the site is covered in tree canopy. Both Nolensville, College Grove, and Millcrofton utility districts will provide water to the proposed subdivisions. A revised design development report and detailed soils investigation report were prepared by the applicant and submitted to the county. The county's wastewater consultant has reviewed these reports and is recommending approval of the proposed site plan. A certificate of convenience and necessity has been approved by the Tennessee Regulatory Authority. A conceptual layout for the proposed subdivision, which depicts a total of 99 lots, has been included as Sheet 2A of the site plan packet. This conceptual layout of the development is provided for illustrative purposes only and has not been reviewed for compliance with applicable regulations. The site plan is in order and staff recommends approval. Prior to final plat submittal for the first section of the proposed subdivision, zoning certificate must be obtained for the completed treatment and disposal system. Prior to issuance of the zoning certificate, the applicant shall provide the following. Number 1, a letter from TDEC indicating that the non-traditional wastewater treatment and disposal system was installed and is functioning. Number 2, as-built drawings showing the location of all system components and a sealed certification letter from the design engineer indicating that said system was constructed in accordance with the approved construction plans and specifications. Number 3, a letter from the owner/utility provider indicating that it has accepted said system and is currently operating same. Number 4, posting of a performance bond in the amount of $120,000 for said system as specified by the county's wastewater consultant. And number 5, posting of a performance bond in the amount of $40,920 for landscaping improvements.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the commission?
Essentially additional wastewater capacity for 19 lots?
Yes.
After all this discussion?
Yes, sir.
I make a motion we approve it.
Have a second on that? Second. Prepare to vote. Vote now.
That me again?
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 33 is preliminary plat for Arrington Ridge Phase 1 containing 12 lots on 31 acres located off of Cox Road in the 5th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A concept plan for this development was approved at this body at the May 2017 meeting. The applicant is now requesting preliminary plat approval for this 12-lot subdivision, which contains approximately 26 acres of open space. The plat is consistent in layout with the concept plan, and this phase is located south of I-840. Staff has requested that the applicant supply additional floodplain-related data confirming the depicted floodplain. Pending receipt of that data by the meeting date, staff recommends approval of the preliminary plat with the following conditions. The final plat must address the following. Prior to the final plat submittal, turn lane improvements on Cox Road must be completed in accordance with the approved plans. Prior to final plat submittal, a zoning certificate must be obtained for the completed wastewater treatment and disposal system. Prior to the issuance of the zoning certificate, the applicant shall provide the following. A letter from TDEC indicating that said treatment system was installed and is functioning, as-built drawings showing the location of all treatment system components, and a sealed certification letter from the design engineer indicating that said treatment system was constructed in accordance with the approved construction plans and specifications. A letter from the owner and utility provider indicating that the accepted said treatment system is currently operating same, the posting of a performance bond in the amount of $120,000 for said treatment system as specified by the county's wastewater consultant, and the posting of a performance bond in the amount of $50,600 for landscaping improvements. Prior to the consideration of final plat approval, the applicant shall submit HOA documents for review and approval by the county attorney's office. The HOA documents must be submitted with the final plat, and the approved HOA documents recorded concurrent with the recording of the final plat. Establishment of performance bonds for roads, drainage, and erosion control. Establishment of a performance bond for water improvements in favor of Millcrofton Utility District. Establish of a performance bond for the wastewater collection system. Submission of landscaping plans and establishment of a performance bond for landscaping. Execution of stormwater maintenance agreement and submission of an operation and maintenance plan for stormwater improvements, and the submission of an approved final plat in DWG format on recordable media based on this Tennessee State Plan Coordinate System prior to signature and recording of the plat.
Thank you. Questions or comment from staff? I'm sorry, from the commission? We'll have a second. I have a motion and a second. Prepare to vote. Vote now. Record your vote. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 34, preliminary plat review for McDaniel's Farm, Phase 2, containing 48 lots on 26 acres, located off McDaniel's Road in the 5th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A concept plan for this development was approved at the August 2016 meeting. The applicant is now requesting preliminary plat approval for the second phase of the development, which consists of 48 lots. The preliminary plat is consistent in overall layout with that depicted on the concept plan. As was mentioned at the concept plan stage, the applicant is requesting a right-of-way of 40 feet in order to accommodate sidewalks outside of the right-of-way. The applicant is also requesting a design speed of 25 miles per hour for roadways within the development. Staff is in support of these requests. Staff recommends approval of this preliminary plat with the following conditions. In conjunction with final plat consideration, the following items must be addressed. Number 1, prior to final plat submittal, a zoning certificate must be obtained for the completed wastewater treatment and disposal system. Prior to the issuance of the zoning certificate, the applicant shall provide the following. A letter from TDEC indicating that said system was installed and is functioning. B, as-built drawings showing the location of all system components and a sealed certification letter from the design engineer indicating that said system was constructed in accordance with the approved construction plans and specifications. C, a letter from the owner/utility provider indicating that it has accepted said system and is currently operating same. D, the posting of a performance bond for the additional treatment and disposal components in the amount of $183,208, and E, the posting of a performance bond in the amount of $4,125 for landscaping improvements. Number 2, prior to consideration of final plat approval, the applicant shall submit HOA documents for review and approval by the county attorney's office. The approved HOA documents must be recorded concurrently with the recording of the final plat. Number 3, establishment of a performance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control. Number 4, establishment of a performance bond for water improvements in favor of Millcrofton Utility District. Number 5, establishment of a performance bond for the wastewater collection system. Number 6, submission of landscaping plans and establishment of a performance bond for landscaping. Number 7, execution of a stormwater maintenance agreement and submission of an operation and maintenance plan for stormwater improvements. And number 8, submission of the approved final plat in DWG format on recordable media based on the Tennessee State Plan Coordinate System prior to signature and recording of the plat.
Thank you. Questions, comments from the commission? We have a motion and a second. Prepare to vote. Vote now. Record the vote. Motion carries. Item 35, preliminary plat review for the Grove, Phase 9, containing open space on 45 acres located off Arnold Road in the 2nd voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A revised concept plan for this development was approved at the April 2016 meeting. The applicant is now requesting preliminary plat approval for for Phase 9 of the subdivision, which has no buildable lots and contains approximately 45 acres of woodland to be used as open space for the overall development. The plat is consistent in layout with the approved concept plan. Staff recommends approval of the preliminary plat with the final condition. In conjunction with final plat consideration, the applicant shall submit the approved final plat in DWG format on recordable media based on the Tennessee State Plan Coordinate System prior to signature and recording of the plat.
Thank you. Comments or questions from the commission? Have a motion and a second. Please prepare to vote. Vote now. Record the vote. Motion carries. Item 36, preliminary plat for Swanee Ridge containing 21 lots on 49 acres located off Kittrell Road in the 9th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A concept plan for this development was approved by this body at the April 2017 meeting. The applicant is now requesting preliminary plat approval for this 21-lot subdivision, which contains approximately 17 acres of open space. The plat is consistent in layout with the concept plan. The Department of Sewage Disposal Management has reviewed and approved the request. Staff recommends approval of the of the preliminary plat with the following conditions. In conjunction with final plat consideration, the following items must be addressed. Number 1, prior to consideration of final plat approval, the applicant shall submit HOA documents for review and approval by the county attorney's office. The approved HOA documents must be recorded concurrently with the recording of the final plat. Number 2, installation of warning signage at the CSX rail line crossing at Kittrell Road as recommended by the county's traffic consultant. Number 3, establishment of performance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control. Number 4, establishment of a performance bond for water improvements in favor of HB&TS Utility District. Number 5, submission of landscaping plans and the establishment of a performance bond for landscaping. Number 6, execution of a stormwater maintenance agreement and submission of an operation and maintenance plan for water improvements. And number 7, submission of the approved final plat in DWG format on recordable media based on the Tennessee State Plan Coordinate System prior to signature and recording of the plat.
Thank you. Questions or comments, Commission?
I've got a question, and just reading that about the warning signage at the CSX rail crossing. What is the traffic volume on Kittrell? Do we know that?
Staff?
Preston, will you come up and answer that for us, please? Thank you. I didn't see him.
Hi, Preston Air with T-Square Engineering. I do not know the traffic volume. I did not do the traffic report or traffic study for this project. But we agree with the recommendation to install the warning signage at the rail line crossing.
Holly?
Do we not require a traffic study with every, I don't know who I'm asking, but don't we require a traffic report for every?
It's in the packet right here, RPM.
It says 30, the letter from RPM is
Okay,
36-30.
and I guess just what we're wondering, or what, like Sammy asked, whether or not we know the volume. I know Kittrell Road's off Coleman Road, and it meets Columbia Highway. And both those roads are very, very busy in the mornings and in the evenings. But I don't know that this one is any worse than some of the other ones we've been approving. I mean, it's frustrating, honestly, in a lot of ways.
What type of warning signage are you installing? Just signs, or is actual, what type is that?
Yeah, it would just be signs.
There won't be any gates, there'll just be signs.
Correct.
Is that what you're asking?
That is what I'm asking. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Holly?
Well, if this is on Kittrell, and that's where you're talking about putting, there's gates, there's signs, I believe, off Coleman. Isn't there a gate that comes? Yeah. Right before you get to the church, I think there are gates that come down there. Why wouldn't that be required off Kittrell?
Commissioners, on page 3 of attachment 36-3, our traffic consultant has outlined his recommendations to us for the installation of the warning apparatuses for the, start at the top of the page, for the railroad crossing.
And I take it that this would be included with, they get with the railroad department and make sure what's adequate, and at that time they decided the traffic flow?
Yes, that will be
to dis-
determined, prior to the final plat consideration. They'll have to submit all of the
Right.
improvements will have to be done, which I'm venturing will have to be coordinated with CSX.
And if CXS came forth and said because of the traffic, they require more than just the signage, then that would have to be installed.
I believe so, yes.
Is that satisfied? Holly? Any other questions on this? We have a motion? I have a motion. Have a second on that? Motion and a second. Thank you. Prepare to vote. Vote now. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 37, preliminary plat review for the Vineyard Valley Phase 2 containing 16 lots on 16.60 acres located off Udale Covington Road in the 2nd voting district. Staff?
Okay, thank you. The concept plan governing this development was approved at the August 2015 meeting. The applicant is now requesting a preliminary plat approval for Phase 2 of the development, which consists of 16 lots and approximately 10 acres of open space. The preliminary plat is consistent in layout with that depicted on the concept plan. As was mentioned at the concept plan stage, the applicant is requesting a right-of-way width of 40 feet in order to accommodate sidewalks outside of the right-of-way. Staff is in support of this request. Staff recommends approval of this preliminary plat with the following conditions. In conjunction with final plat consideration, the following items must be addressed. 1. Prior to submittal of a final plat, the off-site improvements to Udale Covington Road as specified in the traffic impact analysis review letter from the county's traffic engineering consultant must be completed in accordance with the approved plans. 2. Prior to final plat submittal, a zoning certificate must be obtained for the completed wastewater treatment and disposal system. Prior to issuance of the zoning certificate, the applicant shall provide the following: a letter from TDEC indicating that the non-traditional wastewater treatment and disposal system was installed and is functioning, as-built drawings showing the location of all system components, and a sealed certification letter from the design engineer indicating that the system components have been constructed in accordance with the approved construction plans and specifications, a letter from the owner utility provider indicating that it has accepted the non-traditional wastewater treatment and disposal system and is currently operating same, and the posting of a performance bond in the amount of $100,800 for the non-traditional wastewater treatment and disposal system as specified by the county's wastewater consultant. 3. Prior to consideration of final plat approval, the applicant shall submit HOA documents for review and approval by the county attorney's office. The approved HOA documents must be recorded prior to recording of the final plat. 4. Establishment of a performance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control. 5. Establishment of a performance bond for water improvements in favor of Millcrofton Utility District. 6. Establishment of a performance bond for the wastewater collection system. 7. Submission of landscaping plans and establishment of a performance bond for landscaping. 8. Dedication of right-of-way 30 feet off the center line of Udale Covington Road. 9. Execution of a stormwater maintenance agreement and submission of an operation and maintenance plan for stormwater improvements. And 10. Submission of the approved final plat in DWG format on recordable media based on the Tennessee State Plan Coordinate System prior to signature and recording of the plat.
Thank you, sir. Comments, question from the commission? Pete?
I've got a question. We're getting a lot of these high-density developments with out in these country rural roads. Are we ensuring that landscaping is done so when you drive by on these roads you don't look like you're passing condos or apartment complexes?
There is landscaping required along the frontage of Udale Covington Road, yes, sir.
Is it high density enough so you don't see?
You may still see some, but there's landscaping required to soften that or to buffer that.
Well, we're getting a lot of very high density segments out there. They might have 10 or 12 acres of open space, but it's always back in the back somewhere where it doesn't shield anything from the development.
Any other questions, comments? We have a motion?
Move for approval for staff recommendation.
We have a motion and second. Thank you. Prepare to vote and vote now. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 38, preliminary plat for the Vineyard Valley, Phase 3, containing 26 lots on 37.58 acres located off Udell Covington Road in the 2nd voting district. Staff?
The concept plan governing this development was approved at the August 2015 meeting. The applicant is now requesting preliminary plat approval for Phase 3 of the development, which consists of 26 lots and approximately 29 acres of open space. The preliminary plat is consistent in layout with that depicted on the concept plan. As was mentioned at the concept plan stage, the applicant is requesting a right-of-way width of 40 feet in order to accommodate sidewalks outside the right-of-way. Staff is in support of this request. Staff recommends approval of this preliminary plat with the following conditions. In conjunction with final plat consideration, the following items must be addressed. 1, prior to submittal of a final plat, the off-site improvements to Udell Covington Road, as specified in the traffic impact analysis review letter from the county's traffic engineering consultant, must be completed in accordance with the approved plans. 2, prior to final plat submittal, a zoning certificate must be obtained for the completed wastewater treatment and disposal system. Prior to issuance of the zoning certificate, the applicant shall provide the following: a letter from TDEC indicating that the non-traditional wastewater treatment and disposal system was installed and is functioning, as-built drawings showing the location of all system components, and a sealed certification letter from the design engineer indicating that the system components have been constructed in accordance with the approved construction plans and specifications, a letter from the owner/utility provider indicating that it has accepted the non-traditional wastewater treatment and disposal system and is currently operating same, and the posting of a performance bond in the amount of $100,800 for the non-traditional wastewater treatment and disposal system as specified by the county's wastewater consultant. 3, prior to consideration of final plat approval, the applicant shall submit HOA documents for review and approval by the county attorney's office. The approved HOA documents must be recorded prior to the recording of the final plat. 4, establishment of a performance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control. 5, establishment of a performance bond for water improvements in favor of Millcrofton Utility District. 6, establishment of a performance bond for the wastewater collection system. 7, submission of landscaping plans and establishment of a performance bond for landscaping. 8, dedication of right-of-way 30 feet off the center line of Udell Covington Road. 9, execution of a stormwater maintenance agreement and submission of an operation and maintenance plan for stormwater improvements. And 10, submission of the approved final plat in DWG format on recordable media based on the Tennessee State Plan Coordinate System prior to signature and recording of the plat.
Thank you, sir. Questions or comment from Commission? Do we have a motion?
Move for approval.
Motion is second. Prepare to vote and vote now, please. Motion carries. Thank you. Final plats. Item 39, final plat review for farms at Clovercroft, Section 3, containing 29 lots on 60 acres located off Clovercroft Road in the 5th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A concept plan for this development was approved by this body at the November 2014 meeting, and a preliminary plat for the development was approved at the January 2015 meeting. The applicant is now requesting final plat approval for Section 3 of the development, which consists of 29 lots and approximately 45 acres of open space. Staff has requested additional information regarding potential sinkholes located on lots 323 and 324 of the proposed development. Because the applicant has not provided the requested information, staff recommends that action on this item be deferred until the September 2017 meeting.
Prepare to vote. Vote now. Motion carries. Item 40, final plat review for McDaniel Farm, Section 1, containing 43 lots on 226 acres located off McDaniel Road in the 5th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A concept plan for this development was approved at the August 2016 meeting, and a preliminary plat for the development was approved at the November 2016 meeting. The applicant is now requesting final plat approval for Section 1 of the development, which consists of 43 lots, the wastewater treatment and disposal system, and approximately 193 acres of open space. The final plat is consistent in layout with that depicted on the approved preliminary plat, and all other stipulations of preliminary plat approval have been addressed. As was mentioned at the preliminary plat stage, the applicant is requesting a right-of-way of 40 feet in order to accommodate sidewalks outside of the right-of-way. The applicant is also requesting a design speed of 25 miles per hour for roadways within the development. Staff is in support of these requests. The final plat is in order, and staff recommends approval with the following conditions. Number 1, the posting of a performance bond in the amount of $695,000 for roads, drainage, and erosion control. Number 2, the posting of a performance bond in the amount of $125,000 for the wastewater collection system. Number 3, the posting of a performance bond in the amount of $214,309 for wastewater improvements as specified by Millcrofton Utility District. Number 4, posting of a performance bond in the amount of $75,000 for off-site water improvements as specified by Millcrofton Utility District. Number 5, the posting of a performance bond for landscaping improvements in the amount of $190,300. Number 6, execution of a stormwater maintenance agreement and submission of an operation and maintenance plan for stormwater improvements. And number 7, submission of the approved final plat in DWG format on recordable media based on the Tennessee State Plan Coordinate System prior to signature and recording of the plat.
Thank you. Questions, comment from the commission? Motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Prepare to vote. Vote now. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 41, final plat review for Pleasant View Farm, large lots easement subdivision containing 2 lots on 20 acres located off Old Charlotte Pike in the 9th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The property in question is approximately 20 acres in size and is located off Old Charlotte Pike, approximately 1/2 mile from New Highway 96 West. The applicant is requesting approval of a large lot easement subdivision in order to create 2 lots, which will be the second and third lots of an existing 50-foot ingress-egress utilities easement. The site slopes gently upward from the west to the east. The site is also almost entirely open and free of trees and encumbered by a 100-year floodplain on the west side and in the northeast. The building envelopes are located outside of these areas. The applicant has also provided finished floor elevations. All zoning ordinance requirements, including those regarding the protection of natural resources, have been met. The applicant is proposing individual septic systems for the lots, and the Williamson County Department of Sewage Disposal Management has approved the request. Water will be provided by the HB and TS Utility District from a 6-inch water line. There is an existing fire hydrant located less than 500 feet from the proposed building envelopes. The plat is in order, and staff recommends approval.
Thank you. Questions, comment from commission?
Move for approval.
A motion and a second. Thank you. Prepare to vote and vote now. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 42, establishment of a landscaping bond for South Creek Rural Retreat on 235 acres located at 1994 Carters Creek Pike in the 11th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On July 27, 2017, the Board of Zoning Appeals approved a special use permit for the operation of a rural retreat extensive use on the subject properties, and a site plan for this use has been reviewed by staff. However, due to the cost of the required improvements and pursuant to Section 16.07 of the zoning ordinance, a performance bond for landscaping improvements must be established by the Planning Commission prior to final site plan approval by staff. Staff recommends the establishment of a performance bond for landscaping improvements in the amount of $77,500.
Thank you. Questions or comment from Commission?
Move for approval.
Second? Anyone? I have a motion second. Please prepare to vote and vote now. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 44, endorsement of the Triune Special Area Plan Citizens Advisory Committee. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Staff will be embarking on the Triune Special Area Plan process this fall. As was the case with previous special area plans, public participation will be a major point of emphasis with the plan's development. In order to maximize the public's involvement through the development of the special area plan, the Planning Department has been seeking members of the Triune community to serve on a Citizens Advisory Committee. The Advisory Committee will have approximately 9 members of the public, which will include a mix of residents, business owners, civic leaders, and other stakeholders from the area. In addition, the committee will include a number of ex officio members representing the County Commission, Planning Commission, and Board of Zoning Appeals. The role of the advisory committee will be to serve as the sounding board for various planning ideas and concepts, act as a liaison between the public and the staff, work with staff on making recommendations for the special area plan, and provide input that will help ensure the community's vision, goals, and objectives are properly articulated in the plan. Staff sent postcards to property owners within the study area soliciting interest in serving on the committee. In response to that effort, a number of people have expressed a desire to serve on the committee. Staff's recommendation regarding the makeup of the Citizens Advisory Committee reflects an effort to create an efficient, workable committee while ensuring a broad and appropriate mix of stakeholder representation. The proposed Citizens Advisory Committee member list is included as attachment 44-1. Your endorsement of the makeup of this committee is requested. Committee members include Sue Burns, Steve Clausen, Kathy Cornwall, Brian Goss, Tyler King, Sharon Puckett, Rhonda Rose, Ginger Sherling, and Scott Walter. We've also asked planning commissioners and county commissioners, as well as the Board of Zoning Appeals, to act as ex officio members. These members include Robin Baldry, Lou Green, Sharon Hatcher, Tommy Little, and Karen Emerson McPeak.
Move for approval, first staff's recommendation.
Second.
Prepare to vote and vote now. Mr. Lackey?
Vote.
Vote, please.
You gotta vote.
Thank you. Motion carries. We have the election of officers right now. Okay, for the chairman, we have a nomination. Motion made in the second. Please prepare to vote. Vote now. No, you got to vote. It won't go. Yeah, just vote.
Well, that sets us up there one time, so the others will have to be voice votes.
What's that?
The others will have to be voice votes.
There you go.
Okay. The rest of them we'll have to do with a voice vote because the machine won't take it. Vice Chairman? Nominees, please.
Second.
All in favor? Vote. Voice vote at this one. Opposed? Thank you. Secretary? It's Mike Madison's been our secretary.
Nominate Mike Madison.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Secretary Pro Tem? Aaron has been the one in the past.
Nominate Aaron Holmes.
Second.
All in favor? So moved. Anything else for the good of the commission? Mr. Lackey.
I set a new record today, and I need y'all to know about it. It took 45 minutes to come from Brentwood to Franklin. 45 minutes. Fix the traffic plan, commission.
We're trying to keep Brentwood out.
Golly.
You ought to have been good by now.
I started to stop for lunch.
We have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We're adjourned.